In the heart-pounding saga of Iron Man, Tony Stark's genius is tested when captured by the Afghan army. A rocket attack leaves his heart pierced, but Dr. Jensen improvises a life-saving solution with a magnet and battery. As Tony faces a menacing gang leader, the stakes skyrocket. Will he succumb to their demands or engineer his own escape? To know that, let's continue the episode. Raza Farhan Tahir arrives and threatens to torture Jensen. Angry because he thinks Stark isn't operating at the Jericho as they wanted, Tony deals for Jensen's life, saying he makes a terrific assistant. Raza offers them one more day to complete. Working furiously in a single day, Tony completes his undertaking. Jensen straps Tony into the completed armor in shape, telling him the manner out of the cave. They activate a bomb inside the cell door as a distraction for the guards. As Tony powers up his health, Jensen realizes that they will not have enough time. Over Tony's protests, he grabs a gun and runs off to distract the surviving guards. Tony, his in-shape now completely powered, muscle tissues his manner via the cave. The guards try to forestall him, but his fit effortlessly deflects their weapon fire, and he beats them off or kills them. He also fires one of the healthiest missiles at Raza himself, who is flung out of sight through the blast. Halfway out of the cavern, Stark reveals Jensen is mortally wounded. Jensen famously said that this became his plan, sacrificing himself so Tony could break out. Jensen's family is already lifeless, and he's going to now see them once more in the afterlife. Tony tearfully thanks Jensen for saving him. Jensen's last words to Stark are not to waste his second hazard at existence. Tony turns his health on the final terrorists, igniting flamethrowers and firing missiles. He destroys their stockpile of guns. However, a number of their large-quality weaponry starts off evolving to harm his suit. He uses a rudimentary jet percent to launch himself out of the valley. Not long after firing, his jet percent fails, and he survives a crash inside the barren region. Stark leaves the suit behind and hikes via the desolate track until more than one U.S. helicopter flies overhead. An organization of squatties led by Rhodey stumbles upon Tony. Rhodey is thrilled to locate that his pal is alive. Tony is quickly flown back to the U.S. Upon his arrival at Edwards Air Force Base, Pepper desires Tony to get hold of medical remedy. But Tony says that there are simplest two things he desires: an American cheeseburger and an organization press convention. So Tony appears before a collection of journalists and is sincerely humbled. And now not the conceited CEO he became earlier than his capture broadcasts that he intends to close down Stark Industries' weapons manufacturing department without delay. At the same time, Pepper is approached by Agent Phil Coulson Clark Gregg from the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistic Division. They need to speak to Tony about his capture. Pepper schedules an appointment for them. That night, Obadiah confronts Tony about his movements. Furious, Obadiah is aware that the inventory price for his or her organization, and via extension their financial fame, is going to take a severe drop. Because of this assertion, Tony wishes Stark Industries to transport forward with arc reactor technology. But Obadiah thinks that the arc reactor is nothing. However, an exposure stunt. Through the communique, Tony finally ends up revealing his Mark I chest piece to Obadiah, however refuses to allow the device to be studied for production. Stain convinces Tony to lie low for a while so the Enterprise can type matters out. Pepper watches Jim Cramer deliver a scathing news section on Mad Money, on the declining cost of Stark Industries, whilst Tony asks for her assistance. He's created an upgraded and much greater effective mini-arc reactor. The Mark the Sanu chest piece, however, can't set up into his chest without a person to help. His supporting robot dummy tried to insert the arc reactor, but failed, and Pepper's hands are small enough to fit inside the chamber in Tony's chest. Pepper by chance yanks out the cords for the vintage reactor too quickly, putting Tony on the verge of cardiac arrest. They control how to finish the system in time. Tony tells Pepper to smash the old model. Seeing that he is no longer a sentimental man or woman, Tony visits Rhodes and asks for help with a new private venture. Rhodey now does not agree with Tony's method. He thinks Tony is affected by submitting to disturbing pressure sickness because of his sees and wishes time to recover. Tony turns to his other quality pal, Jarvis, for help. Tony's plan is revealed to be an upgrade to his armored health, known as Mark II. The match from the terrorist cave became Mark I. Tony, analyzing a 3D CGI mapped picture of the Mark I, discards some of the components, streamlining the layout. Meanwhile, Raza, having survived his struggle with Stark and seriously scarred by way of the rocket assault in the cave, searches the barren region, gathering all fragments of the Mark I healthy that Tony left behind. Tony comes to a decision that the first component he has to do is to perfect the armor's flight gadget. Since the leg-established jets proved too volatile, he created repulsives for the toes and palm hooked-up stabilizers for stability. Pepper is available while he's testing the stabilizers, and they find that it also creates an effective repulsion beam that might additionally be used as a weapon. In his first test, the repulsor blows him backward. Pepper leaves a paper-wrapped field on Tony's desk as a gift. Obadiah visits Tony, and well-known shows that the board of directors has filed an injunction to advantage manipulation of Stark Industries. Tony isn't involved. He still continues controlling interest in Stark Industries. After several failed and painful tries, Tony perfects his flight system and is delighted at the chance of flying. The Mark II armored in shape is soon finished. It looks as if a closely streamlined version of Tony's Mark I armor. Tony connects with Jarvis to reveal the development within the match. Against Jarvis's recommendation, Tony takes it out for a take-a-look at flight, and he's thrilled with the aid of the InShape's capability. Tony pushes the limit for excessive environment flying, but at such amazing heights, the freezing air reasons the InShape to turn out to be lined with ice, and his power deliver shuts down. Tony is barely capable of reactivate his thrusters in time to avoid crashing into the floor. Stark returns domestic, but the armor is so heavy that it smashes through 3 flooring of the residence, and he crushes one of his prized sports activities motors. As Tony recovers from his crash landing, he opens the container that Pepper left at the back of in advance. Inner is the Mark I arc reactor encased as a trophy with the message proof that Tony Stark has a heart. That is all for this part. Click here if you haven't watched the part 1 of the series. Like the video and subscribe the channel for more content like this.